thank you for inviting me here today. I will be presenting, as Laia said, one project, one H2020 project that became operational, actually a commercial platform for air quality products and services, and some of them are using, still using the WCAO resources. So as I said, AirQast is a commercial platform providing operational air quality services using Earth observation data. So the project started in 2018, it finished last year, and it was a consortium made by different organizations. So on the one hand, research institutions at national level, so the Finnish and the Dutch Meteorological Agency, then a research center in Belgium, and then 3 SMEs, 2 Spanish and 1 Greek. And Iserstat was the leader of this consortium. So why we decided to apply for H2020 project in the first place? Well, Iserstat at that time had already experience with 2 of the research institutions, so the Dutch and the Finnish meteorological agencies. We were involved in different research topics and projects, and we realized that products providing a higher spatial and temporal resolution was of interest, particularly at that time for the Asian market, for China and India. Also, that reliable information needed technical support, particularly because of the complexity of the service. Of the services, using chemical transport models, but also the assimilation of Earth observation data, as well as in situ data, and so on. Then one point distributor, in the sense that a one-stop shop, that's what we wanted, because the different providers, they had their own services, but we wanted to to gather all these different services and showcase them in one commercial platform. And also at that time, it was an increased momentum from citizens requesting solutions related to to urban air quality, and then to tools that and visualizations that were actually reaching the general public, so all audiences, and not only very expert users in the air quality field. As a background, the platform has 4 main products and services, so 4 categories. I will not go through all of them today. I will just concentrate on a few, but they're basically emission inventories, regional forecast, street level products, so very high resolution air quality products at the urban or local scale, and then Atmoplan, which is a scenario-based tool for urban planners, particularly on low emission zones. So emission inventories, so for the ones that they don't know what that is accounting of pollutants discharged into the atmosphere. So it's basically a data collection exercise that is made usually by public institutions or research institutions. So they gather pollution data from different sources, and then from different sectors, so ground data. From the energy sector, from the transport sector, the fleet data from different fleet segments, the diesel cars, or the hybrids, or the eco cars. Then data from airports, from harbors, from residential emissions and so on. And then they compile this information into an inventory that usually it takes a lot of time to be compiled and is for previous years. So, for instance, this is an example what you see on the screen from the regional Catalan government, and that's the last updated emission inventory, which is from 2011 to 2014. Now there is one new that will show that will be available, but it will cover only until 2018. So based on that, we decided to make emission inventories from satellite, because you can get a good resolution at 1 kilometer for the same pollutants based on satellite retrievals and inverse modeling, ground-based measurements, and so on. But it can provide a much higher temporal resolution. It's updated every month. Yeah, so this is a big advantage compared to traditional bottom-up emission inventories. So we started having these inventories in China, and then in the Iberian Peninsula, in Spain and Portugal. And why these up-to-date emission inventories are important, I will give you an example in Wuhan. So right before the COVID lockdown, so December 2019, you see on the left-hand side in the graph a comparison between in situ data in red, and then an ensemble median, or data obtained from models, in black. These models are using emission inventory, which is like historical data on business as usual emissions. And then at that time, they were following a similar trend, the model data and the in situ data. But then as soon as we got into COVID situation, mid-January, you start seeing differences between the two. And then in the full lockdown in January, you see that is a complete discrepancy between the red line, which is the real data, and then the model data that was taken, as I said earlier, business as usual, but not the reality that was happening at that time, which is no industry, no emissions for industry, no transport, and so on. So that's why up-to-date emissions from based on real observations from satellite are really handy in this case. In terms of success stories, we were in contact with INA University. We got a contract with them because they wanted to assess the impact of pollution from external sources, so from other countries, into South Korea. And for that, the emission inventory from satellite from China was really useful. Also because it's difficult to get access to public data on emissions from the Chinese authorities. So then satellite data was really helpful, as well as forecast on these pollutants. Likewise in Catalonia, because they, as I mentioned earlier, they didn't have up-to-date emission inventory. They were interested in having these satellite-based inventories from us. And also our emissions cover the whole Catalan territory, whilst the traditional emission inventory, they only cover one area, which is the industrial area around Barcelona. And then this is a product I wanted to touch base, which is the one that is using the Wikio resources. So there's different virtual machines that are where the services are running. And this is a service that is providing street level concentrations of NO2 and PM, and it was co-developed between the Royal Netherlands Meteorological Agency and Lovelium, which is a spin-off of Visarsat. So the service is available in Barcelona, Madrid, and Amsterdam, and we had at that time contracts with customers, and we have extended that to new customers with the city of Madrid, the greater metropolitan agency of Barcelona, as well as the Barcelona Public TV. So why we decided to do this service? Well, because the NO2 varies a lot, even on hourly basis, because it has a lot to do with the meteorology. You know, if it's raining or if it's not, or the impact of the wind, or the amount of traffic on the roads when there's no meteorological inputs. And for that reason, we wanted to make this available for different users. And here you see the differences between 3 cities in Spain over a couple of weeks. Also, this is a typical scheme of air quality stations at the city level. So this is for Barcelona. Maybe in Barcelona there's more stations than in other cities, but the air quality stations, they provide a point measurement. And what we wanted with this service is to fill the gaps between the stations with an algorithm that would assimilate the data from the different ground sensors, as well as hourly meteorological data, emission inventory data, traffic data, population density data, and then to combine this into air quality dispersion model in order to get this very high resolution data anywhere in the cities we're working. One of our first customers was the Barcelona Public TV. Initially, they wanted to have the operational service in their website as a web app in the weather section, and then they realized that it was actually very interesting to show and talk about air quality during the evening news, and also during the weather time. And here you can see on the left-hand side a QR on the image that was put by the TV, so for users to scan and get access to the web app and see the air quality at their doorstep. So as you can imagine, this service, because it provides this very fine resolution and also it provides forecast, it uses a lot of computational power. And in this sense, we have been working from the beginning with Wikeo, and we had good results with very few downtime moments, almost none, since we started with the services over a year ago. Also, in 2019, we processed 1 year reanalysis of very high resolution data for Barcelona, and we put it free and open to everyone, and that was really well accepted by either private, public authorities and researchers. And this data set actually had a huge social impact, because one local organization that is advocating for better air quality in Barcelona took that data, very high resolution data, and then plotted schools and combined this air quality data with schools during school hours in order to obtain a ranking of the most polluted schools in the city. So they put all private and public schools, so over 700 schools were in the ranking, and over 200 were above the annual average NO2 levels set by the World Health Organization. So it had a lot of media impact as well. And then on the image on the right-hand side, that's actually from El País, a Spanish newspaper, talking about this organization and talking about the data that we are, processing at Wikeo and operating this data by Lobelia and the Dutch Meteorological Agency, and that's from this weekend. So it's still in the news. Just to finalize, so new applications that we have developed. So based on this high resolution data, we have developed an algorithm that takes these NO2 concentrations, then combine them with the elevation of the city and the classification of different roads in order to provide the concentration of pollutants on a given route, and then it compares that route with the fastest route, which will be a typical Google Maps route going from A to D. And then here you would see, so in green you would have the healthy route, that where you're saving a percentage of concentration of NO2 compared to the fastest route. The interesting thing about this is that these routes can change every day, and depending on the time of the day, depending on the air quality on that particular hour. Yeah, and that's a new application that we have developed, and that is actually operational and running on the AMB website, which is the Greater Barcelona metropolitan area. Yeah, that would be all about. I hope that that this information was useful. And if you have any questions, you can get in touch by email, or you can just ask in the chat or afterwards in the Q&A. Thank you very much.